Scheme of Community Polytechnics. In pursuance of the recommendations of All India Council for Technical Education, the erstwhile Ministry of Education, Government of India, has during the year 1978-79 instituted on experimental basis the scheme of community polytechnics at selected diploma level in institutions all over the country to promote community or rural development on scientific lines through transfer of technology to the rural areas. The scheme was initially instituted at 35 institutions. Major areas of activities assigned to community polytechnics are socio-economic survey, manpower development and training, technical services, transfer of technology, support services, dissemination of information, promotion of total integrated village development. Manpower development and training. Various steps which are followed under manpower development and training are as follows. Survey and selection of trainees and trades, training program in various skills, project formulation, providing help in getting financial support, entrepreneurs development for setting up cottage, village, small-scale industry for self-employment. The duration of these courses range from 3 to 6 months. The training is being imparted by the community polytechnics at their campus as well as in the extension centers set up at appropriate places in rural areas.
कोई स्टार्ट नहीं कोई एंड नहीं लेकिन जब ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੋਨਾਂ ਕੋਇਲਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਾਣਾ ਆਪਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੀਰੀਜ਼ ਕਰਨਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਉਸ ਵਕਤ ਧਿਆਨ ਰੱਖਣਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ
The performance of community polytechnics has so far been very encouraging. As per the information available, it is aimed that gradually every polytechnic is able to train at least 500 rural boys every year. The total number of community polytechnics today is 107, including the 61 community polytechnics which were selected in December 1985 and the 10 community polytechnics started in November 1984 to cater to the needs of minority concentrated areas. Within a period of 6 months, these new community polytechnics would also be operational. And when fully operational, all the 107 community polytechnics would be able to train 50,000 rural boys and girls every year.
ये जो है IF3 ब्लैक ये वाला जो ब्लैक है ये हमें ऑसिलेटर कॉइल इधर लगाना होगा बाकी ये जो रेजिस्टेंस जिस है ये R3 जैसे R3 है तो हमें R3 इधर लेकर लगाना होगा.
During the 7th plan period, it is proposed to further expand the scheme, and depending on the availability of funds, it is intended to cover all the polytechnics under this scheme by the end of the planned period. In the event of all the polytechnics being covered under the scheme of community polytechnics, it may be possible to train about 4 lakh candidates through these short-term vocational technical training courses every year.
We have 6 community polytechnic centers under the scheme of Ministry of Education, and we have chosen these centers where there is a great need for self-employment.
Achievements in manpower development and training. Number of trades in which courses were organized, 54. Self-employment, 40 to 50%. Other employment, 20 to 25%. Remaining, ad hoc jobs from time to time. The community polytechnics have already transferred 92 technologies to rural areas. Besides, a large number of people have been trained for servicing and maintaining a lot of equipments. The various steps which are followed under transfer of technologies are as follows: fabrication, installation, demonstration, education and training program, service and maintenance. The community polytechnic takes the responsibility of transfer of technology through education and training program for awareness among and adoption of new technologies by the villagers, technical services and community support services to enable villagers to sustain new technologies, dissemination of information to provide selective information to villagers to enable them to adopt and sustain the technologies.
आम ही डीजल इंजन है जी, जिसनों कि असी गोबर गैस की मदद के नाल चलाने हैगे हैं। गोबर गैस ते डीजल दोनों फुकते ने। गोबर गैस की मदद नाल चलन करके एक डीजल के नाल 4 घंटे सर्विस दिंदा हैगा। पानी कढ़ते हैं और कुतरे वाली मशीन का पूरा काम लेने हैं।
यहाँ में कितने बना लेते हैं एक दिन में आप? कितने घंटे काम करते हैं? 8 घंटे। कितने पैसे बच जाते हैं? काफी है।
सरपंच मिल्खी राम जी,
हाँ जी,
तुसी टक पंडोरी पिंड विच जिहड़ी कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटी बनाई है, काहदे वास्ते बनाई है ते कदों बनाई है?
ये पिंड की भलाई वास्ते बनाई आ कि असी अपने इन तकरीबन 5 साल हो गए बन गए नूं। CDC महकमे दे नाल मिल करके असी ये बनाई आ कि असी खेतीबाड़ी का भी काम इकट्ठा कीता, मच्छी का तलाब भी बना के जिहदे विचों असी एक तलाब दे विचों असी 15-15 हज़ार रुपया भी कढ़िया कि असी मईयां दी भी डेयरी लोगों ने बनाई आ, मुर्गी खाने भी घुला के दिते आ, उन्हां दा भी बड़ा अच्छा काम चलदा आ। ते होर जेड़ा कोई एक खाला गंदा नाला साडा दो ही पासे जांदा सी, ओहदी वास्ते भी आम टक्करां मारदे आ पिंड दे इकट्ठे हो के कि साडे पिंड दे विच पानी आ वड़दा आ, जो साडे बच्चा सब पानी दे विच उदां बारिश पई ते तरदे फिरदे आ कि अगों जो साडे नाल CDC महकमे ने कीता बहुत चंगा साडा फायदा उठाया।
Integrated rural development. At this level, community polytechnics are providing scientific and technological inputs to the management for total integrated rural development project for a given cluster of villages in social, economic and infrastructure development. However, there are certain bottlenecks which impede the progress in the implementation of the scheme. These are lack of adequate policy and administrative support to the community polytechnics by the respective state governments, lack of adequate collaboration between the community polytechnics and the various development agencies concerned with the rural development, lack of further involvement of the entire polytechnics in this important task in the absence of necessary monitoring and evaluation by state directorates of technical education. To strengthen the community polytechnic movement, to remove these gaps and to effectively implement this scheme of national importance, the working group set up for vocationalization has recommended that all the 5,098 vocational and technical training institutions, including 400 polytechnics and 1,400 industrial training schools, should adopt the approach of community polytechnics to provide vocational education and training through this non-formal approach for diverse type of vocational courses of varying durations and at different levels. schools should adopt the approach of community polytechnics to provide vocational education and training